Ramakatha Rasavahini, Prema Sudhamritavahini, Sathya Sanatani Dharma Swarupini, Shanti Pradayini Mokshakarini. Ramakatha Rasavahini, Ramakatha Rasavahini.
Sai Ram. Just to recollect where we are in the study of Ramakatha Rasavahini. We are in the second chapter of Ramakatha Rasavahini. And Swami is talking about the lineage of Sri Rama. Swami started with the Katwanga Raja, which is the King Katwanga, who begot a son by the name Dilipa. And Dilipa grew up and he got married to Sudakshina. And both of them, after many years also, they did not have a child. So the king was concerned. With his wife, he visited Vashishta Maharshi, sage Vashishta. And based on what Vashishta told him, that he had a curse on him by the Kamadhenu, wish-fulfilling cow, that he had neglected paying respects to cow at one point in time. To overcome that curse, he was asked to serve the cow. And he served the cow, and at one day he had to protect her from a lion. And during that time, he was willing to even offer his own life to safeguard the cow. And as a result, the cow, Kamadhenu Nandini, blessed him that he should be blessed with a son soon. And as a result, a child was born to King Dilipa. And the good news was announced to the public. I think that's so far we have read. So I will ask that we continue from where we are. Maybe we just read the slide which we read and discussed last week and then continue. Saishan, the slide seems to take up, can it be made big? There's some empty space. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, go ahead.
Vasishta had no need to be told. He knew all. As soon as he saw the faces of the king and queen, he surmised that their wish was fulfilled. So he blessed them and permitted them to leave for the city. Then Dilipa and Queen Sudakshina prostrated before the sage and reached the palace, full of joy at the happy turn of events. The child grew in the womb as the blessings guaranteed. When the months ran their full course, at an auspicious moment, the son was born. When the happy tidings spread over the city and kingdom, thousands assembled before and around the palace in great joy. The streets were festooned with flags and green leaves. Groups of people danced in glee, calling on all to share in the thrill. They waved camphor flames to mark the occasion. Huge crowds exclaimed, "Jai, Jai," and moved on towards the palace grounds. Dilipa ordered that the birth of the heir to the empire be announced to the multitude gathered in the vast grounds of the palace by the minister himself. And when he did so, the joyous acclamation of the throng hit the sky. The applause was loud and long. The jays echoed and re echoed from one street to another. It took many hours for the gathering to disperse and reach home.
Thank you very much, Uncle. We had read this and discussed. Just for continuity's sake, I asked Uncle to read. If anyone has something to discuss about what we read, please raise your hands or speak up. Otherwise, we'll continue from the next slide onwards. Okay, Sachin, continue. I think Uncle, please go.
On the 10th day, the king invited the Guru and celebrated the rite of naming the newborn, Namakaranam. The name Raghu was selected on the basis of the asterism under which he was born. The child gave delight to all by its prattle and play. He was liked by all as a bright and charming youngster. He crossed his teens and became a brave, resolute, efficient helpmate of his father. One night, no one could guess why the king felt so. While conversing with the queen, he said, "Sudakshina, I have achieved many a grand victory. I have succeeded in celebrating many a great ritual sacrifice. I have fought many a grim battle and with mighty invaders and triumphed over them all, including ogres and subhuman titans. We are blessed with a son who is precious gem. We have nothing more to gain. Let us spend the remainder of our lives in the adoration of God. Raghu is the repository of all virtues. He is fit in all respects to take up the burden of ruling over the empire. Let us entrust the realm to him. We shall retire into the silence of the forest, live on roots and fruits, serve the sages who lead austere lives filled with godly thoughts and Godward aspiration, and sanctify every moment with Sravana, listening to the sacred teachings, Manana, meditating on their inner meaning, and Nididhyasana, practicing the path laid down. We shall not yield for a minute to sloth based on tamasic qualities.
Thank you very much, Uncle. Mani Auntie, shall we read the Telugu?
Yeah, Sai Ram. పదవదినమున గురువును పిలిపించి నామకరణ మహోత్సవం గావించిరి.
On the 10th day, the teachers or gurus were invited and the name for the child was given.
ఆ బాలునకు నక్షత్రమును అనుసరించి రఘు అని పేరు పెట్టిరి.
For the child, aligning with the stars, so asterisms, the name Raghu was given.
రఘువు దినదినమునకు పెరుగుతూ పెద్దవాడయ్యను.
This little Raghu, day by day, he grew and became a big kid.
Right. ఒకనాటి రాత్రి దిలీపునకేమి తోచినదో కాని రాణితో మాట్లాడుచు.
So one night, whatever was the thought, thinking of Dileepa, he spoke with his queen.
సుదక్షిణ, నేను అనేక ఘనకార్యములను సాధించి తిని.
Oh Sudakshina, I have completed many great actions.
యజ్ఞ యాగాది సత్కర్మలను జరిపి తిని.
I have conducted many good activities like the yajnas and the yagas.
రాజులతో భయంకర యుద్ధములు చేసి తిని.
I have waged very dangerous wars with other kings.
రాక్షసులను దునుమాడి తిని.
I have destroyed rakshasas, demons.
కడకు భగవత్ కటాక్షమును పుత్రరత్న రూపమున పొంది తిని.
At the end, I also obtained a gem of a son due to the grace of God.
ఇక మనకు కావలసినది వేరు లేదు.
Now there's nothing else that we need.
శేషకాలమును దైవారాధనలతో పూర్తిగా వింతుము.
Let us complete the rest of our days in the worship of the Lord.
రఘువు మహాగుణవంతుడు, యోగ్యుడు.
Raghu is someone endowed with very good qualities and also he is qualified.
పరిపాలనా బాధ్యత అతని కప్పచెప్పి
handing over the responsibilities of ruling governing.
మనము అరణ్యమున కందమూలాదులు భక్షించుచు
Let us go to the forest and eating the dried tubers and roots.
మహనీయుల సేవలు సలుపుచు
serving the great sages.
శ్రవణ మనన నిధిధ్యాసనాది కర్మలయందు కాలమును పవిత్రము గావింతుము.
Let us make our time sanctified through Shravana listening, Manana contemplation, and Nididhyasa to put them into our life practice. With that, let's sanctify the time of ours.
అది ఎప్పుడును తామసమునకు స్థానం ఇవ్వక
not giving any room for laziness and tamasic nature.
తెల్లవారగనే మంత్రులను పిలిపించి రఘు that he has not read, I think. No,
Yeah.
not it. We shall not yield to a minute of sloth based on tamasic qualities. That's it.
Thank you very much, Auntie.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. So Sai Ram, everyone. So Swami has nicely explained to us what were the thought process of Raghu, the king, Dilipa, and also about the prince Raghu. So I will stop here. Anyone would like to share your thoughts on the topics, subject which has been covered in this slide? Sai Ram. Yes, Ron Nobina. I think you may have to, we can't hear you. Sai Ram, I think, Ron, I think there's some sound issue with your sound. We can hear only the silence. Anyone else in the meantime would like to share any thoughts? Yes, Auntie Mani, please go ahead.
What our Shastras say, that after Grihastha one has to leave for Vanaprastha. That's what Dilipa and Sudakshina have decided to go. That is the third stage of our Varnashrama Dharma. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, thank you very much, Auntie. So, Dilipa is setting an example of how one should conduct one's life through him taking up the ashrama or the stage of life called Vanaprastha. That's leaving the city and dwelling in the forest. Thank you, Auntie. Yes, Saishan, please go ahead.
I also feel like it kind of shows Uncle like how detached he was from these worldly, objects and materials and relationships, because once they've served their purpose, or he seemed that they've served their purpose, he was ready to move on. Like, it wasn't like he was attached to the fact that his son is at this point. He didn't think, oh, I should stay and see how my son rules, or like, none of these came into his in the way of their I guess adoration of God, is what they said in the translation. But
yeah, thank you, Sai Ram. Yes, Rohit, please go ahead.
Sai Ram, uncle, would it be just a thought came to me about this? I don't know how valid it is, but wouldn't it be safe to say that in a way Swami showed us that the how Swami has kind of shown us where hands in the society and hands in the forest is kind of the lifestyle all of us Sai sadhaks have to live? Can we say that because of all the spiritual stuff that Swami has instructed us all to do, and I like to believe that we all give our best to follow it, would it say that our Vanaprastha rituals begins even actually before we hit Vanaprastha stage? Like, given that we live in a modern world today where it's unrealistic to just drop everything and go to the forest when we cross maybe 60 or 70 years old?
Thank you, Rohit, for the question. So Rohit is asking, should the Vanaprastha start earlier? Number one. Number two, is it practical and to go to forest now? And if it is not, is it okay for us to stay home? I think that's a question, so I will open it up for anyone to discuss. Is it relevant? I think that's the question. Is the question he's asking, so I will leave it with everyone. Whoever wants to explain, please do so. Yes, Sister Vani.
Sai Ram, brother. So just I was thinking, Vanaprastha in these days is just withdrawing our senses from the worldly matters and focus on God, and not just, we cannot go to the forest in these days for sure, but, some people just restrict their worldly affairs and focus on spiritual matters. I think that could be the best we could do in this day and age. Some people go to Prashanti Nilayam and they ashram and live there. But, those who are able to could do that. But the others, maybe the modern senior homes could be the way to restrict our worldly affairs and ourselves. Just a thought.
Thank you very much, sister. So, anyone else would like to share your thoughts? Yes, Sai Satish.
Hi, Ramana. So I think, initially it starts off with hands in the society and head also in the society. Then it transitions to hands in the society, head in the forest. Then it transitions to hand and head in the forest. So I'm just trying to say that, like what Sister Vani was mentioning, though of course, in terms of having hands in the society and head in the forest is what we should practice earlier on itself. So that way everything is approached with that sense of detachment. But yet, in terms of whatever we say as karma phala tyaga and so on, all of that is, everything is done as sarva karma bhagavat prityartham, everything is done as an offering and for the love of God. But then every other time the ahankaram surfaces, and that's where going to ashram, not only at the point of when one becomes aged or more so at a later point in time, going to that kind of an ambience, going to the forest in that sense, quite frequently, even as we approach the later part of our life, is needed more to reinforce about, though we keep saying mentally one should be in the forest, physically being in the forest also at frequent times will reinforce that part of the necessity of that kind of a life. So even as we talk about it coming at a later part in life, making such trips as part of our early part of our life will also keep us better prepared for Vanaprastha. More to sum it up, as though we say that Vanaprastha comes after Grihastha, the essencing the Vanaprastha must happen earlier on, and we saw here in Dilipa's story also that he was ready to give himself up for the sake of Nandini, and so that state of Vanaprastha was already there in him, and that was there very much earlier on, and more so when he saw Raghu grow up, it just became an expression of that part of him having to go to the forest. So and how that was done is, it though it is there intrinsically in Dilipa, it manifested under the circumstances of him visiting sage Vashishta. So that is where that kind of an ambience repeatedly brings us that mindset of embracing Vanaprastha and Sannyasa while in Grihastha, so we are better prepared to take it up when we come to the physical stage of it. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much,
Sai Ram.
Yes, uncle.
Swami has been teaching us in most of his discourses to be detached, to get detached. However, we have plans to go at a certain age to get ourselves detached, but unfortunately, it is a very hard process. So I just want to make a comment on that.
Thank you very much, uncle. Thank you. Anyone else would like to? Yes, Sister Aruna. Yes, Sister Brinda, I think you wanted to say something.
Yes, I think even though we want to detach, like how Swami said, but Swami also emphasizes on duty comes first. So let's do the duty and try to enforce this detachment within ourselves. Vanaprasam, I think maybe in those days it was feasible, but not nowadays, I guess. Not sure. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, Sister Sai Ram. Yes, Sister Aruna.
Yes, I think Vanaprastha is the state of mind, not like going into the forest. So you, as Sai Sati said, we can have the hands on society and head on the Vanaprastha. So that's how we have to live. You don't need to that's for us is the symbolic thing, but always is a state of mind. Even in the forest, if your mind is not focused on that, then that is not Vanaprastha at all. So that is one thing. But I just wanted to understand one thing here. When the sentence in the third paragraph, the third one, the Dilip is thinking that now the son is fit for take up the burden of ruling over the empire. Is that the way Swami has said? Why they think as a burden of ruling that? Because
the word burden is not used in the Telugu.
Yes, okay.
So I'll just see it like that.
Because any king think about the burden, anyone take up a role is a burden, they shouldn't do it. So that is the reason I was asking. It shouldn't be a burden. It's supposed to be something they are learning or progressing on that. That's the reason I'm just to
The
clarify.
word the Swami has used was badhyata. So it has certain level of responsibility there. Okay, so I think that's what Swami has said.
Okay.
So the responsibility, I don't know, I will ask Mani Aunty to.
Yes, Bhadyata is responsibility.
So the responsibility of running
Ruling the kingdom was handed over to him.
Yes, that is the right thing. Like I was thinking, any king thing of burden, then that's it. Then he cannot rule the country or anything they can do. Thank you, Sam.
Actually, the word used in Sanskrit is Rajya Bharam. That word is also used, isn't it, Arun?
In the Telugu, it's used, Auntie. Swami says.
Not here. General word, I said.
In general word, but
Rajya Bharamu chestunnadu.
Yes, but
it's a heavy thing, it's a heavy responsibility which he takes up.
Yeah. Yes, Ron and Bina.
Sai Ram, hopefully you can hear us now.
Yes, we can.
Okay, technical difficulties averted. Just on the subject of Vanaprastha Ashram, Bina and I were just talking about it and thinking that in this day and age, a fairly good substitute for the forest can be an ashram.
Yes.
And that it's not exactly the same as a forest because you're socializing to some degree, but it's certainly a much more spiritual environment with some degree of detachment compared to the busy life of the regular world. That's all. And when we're finished with this discussion, I just wanted to open the question in terms of the meaning of the names Raghu and both his parents, Sudakshana and Dilipa, because at least I, for one, believe that there's nothing random in these in the Ramayana. That's all. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Ron. Yes, Rohit, please go ahead.
Yes, Uncle. I just to follow up to that about something I got reminded of when Sister Vani said about going within. So just keeping it short because I'm sure a lot of other questions are there. So I get reminded of this talk that Professor Bhagya has given. It's there in the Sri Satya Sai official channel, which touches upon this story. So where Professor Bhagya had gotten a very high spiritual experience, and then Swami had told the professor that you have to inquire, who am I? So after Professor Bhagya had that experience where he was completely detached from this world and he could see the world as a separate entity other than himself, or rather he saw oneness with the universe, sorry, my mistake. So he decided to resign, right? And so he was going to resign, and then Swami called him. Swami seemed very upset, and Swami said that that if you differentiate between worldly activities and spiritual activities and keep them separate, even in 1,000 lifetimes, I will not give you moksha. So from what I understood from that is Swami was saying that when Swami told Professor Bhagya to basically inquire, who am I, which is basically the quest of Vanaprastha, is when somebody goes into the forest, you want to go there, you want to start your journey to self-realization. That is basically inquiring, who am I. What I understood from that whole episode of Professor Bhagya was that Swami was telling the professor that you can do that while staying in the society, serving, doing your job, by being detached and kind of not differentiating that this is a spiritual task, this is a non-spiritual task. So do you think that would be the correct way to approach this incident of between Swami and Professor Bhagya? Because when Professor Bhagya wanted to retire or leave, resign, and go inquire about who am I, which was Swami's instructions in the first place, Swami got upset and asked him not to do so and find out that answer to who am I while staying in the job that he's currently doing at Prashantilan. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Rohit. So Rohit has posted a question. So I will leave that with the members to comment on as well. Yes, Sai Satish.
Paramana. So first is any situation we'll have to see Desha Kala Paristiti. and the individual to whom that instruction is given. Because when Swami speaks, it may or may not directly apply to us. It depends on whom Swami is telling, at what stage of maturity is that person, and how they are approaching life. So that is one point to be factored in. And second is, when we look at something like Vanaprastha or Sannyasa, Swami also says, Manasyekam, Vachasyekam, Karmanyekam, Mahatmanam. That is, our thought, word, and deed have to be in alignment. And only when they are in alignment does a person become a Mahatma. In that context, if we look at Vanaprastha and Sannyasa, they are stages which help us realize Manasyekam, Vachasyekam, Karmanyekam. Because what happens in other aspects is, the Manasyekam, Vachasyekam may be there, but Karman, when it comes to action, we may get into a point, or we may have Vachasyekam, Karmanyekam, but Manasyekam, Manas may be Anyat. So, to get that level of unity of thought, word, and deed, the greater probability lies in Vanaprastha and Sannyasa, and that is where I think taking that step literally to go into that kind of forest will ensure where again the inward journey is truly complete in every sense. So I would say that should be prioritized, even as we talk about hands in the society and head in the forest. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Satish. Sai, please go ahead.
So, like, as Dilipa was the king, he still followed Dharma. Like, he still went to like the sages for I guess guidance, and so there was always that connection back to, I guess, God, the grace of God is. And I think how I think about it when I read it, Uncle, is that like throughout his, I guess, reign as the king, he was still, I guess, going after the grace of God. But in spirituality, I think there needs to be that like intentional and I guess focus on renunciation. And I guess like although that can be achieved well having hands in the society, I think that like intentional effort towards focus on spirituality can only happen, I guess, when the focus is fully engaged in that. Is that correct, I guess?
Can I got a bit confused by what you said. Can you rephrase it?
Yeah, I was just looking at how his like transition from a king to renunciation was it that his, like the last sentence he says, let us not waste or spend the rest of our days in with any room for laziness or tamasic nature. Is that statement just stating that any study of spirituality or focus in spirituality needs to be intentional and cannot be passive? Is that what it is?
Yes, that's my understanding also. Others can comment. So he's telling, generally people will say retirement means, you get up anytime, you sleep anytime. It's much more focused on sadhana. Okay, so there are enough discourses, I will come to discussing this Vanaprastha later. There are lots of discourses Swami has given to residents of ashram in Prashantanari. And I think that's well to study for anyone who wants to understand it. Swami expects everyone who is there to wake up in the morning for Omkara Suprabhatam and attend all the activities in the ashram. And Swami has said there are people who come here and they will say, I have a headache, I'm not feeling well, and they don't attend bhajans. Swami has said, it's better you come and sing bhajans and die rather than stay in your room. That is the best thing which you can do for yourself. Those are the words which Swami has used. So Swami is very, very particular about that. So I will stop there. And others also can comment on that. Yes, Sister Aruna, please go ahead.
Brother, in order to understand the Vanaprastha, shall we understand little more what is Swami said about we shall retire into the silence of the forest? Is that silence of the forest? See, that is the good thing, we know forest means we imagine that's a scary place and all, but where the silence of the forest? So that is of course, what is that really meant?
I will interrupt you. Swami did not talk about any silence. He just says, let's go to the forest.
Okay.
Actually, jungle. Let's go to the jungle. That's
Jungle.
what he says, okay? So outside the city.
So, yeah. Now I'm thinking of how so we are going to jungle mean, what is that implies. So we can dwell on it and to understand a little more about it. It would be nice. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Very good, sister. Anyone else would like to comment, or everyone has? Yes, Sai Satish.
Both to the earlier point and this point, one is, I think, as we age, the body becomes slower, but the mind becomes faster. In terms of the thoughts that are raising in one's mind, I think that keeps increasing in its frequency, and that is where what you were mentioning in continuously being in some form of activity, sadhana, will guide the mind back into what it needs to prioritize. Again and again, it will get back into that smaranityam anityatam kind of a thing. And I think that way, the ashram environment is definitely conducive, because it creates, which leads to the second point of this forest, where actually all first is to cut off the feed to the senses on the external, and then keep this mind focused on the internal. So the ashram environment or the forest environment in its symbolism is to help all of the senses that are externally focused to get curtailed, because all of that which the senses keep tasting on the outside is now being subdued in that environment. And once that is subdued, it is like literally closing all the windows and doors. Now the person is the mind which is inside has to turn around and focus only on the deity, or the mind basically traverses, like what we were looking at in the other study circle, about how the manas has to go to buddhi and buddhi into the atman. That journey begins, and that journey can begin only when the windows and doors, which are the senses, are closed, which is what the ashram or the forest environment caters to. So as we age, that is where, since the senses, though they weaken, the mind keeps racing. So if we can cut the feed and ensure that the mind is focused internally, then it really makes the progress in the spiritual path. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish. Any other? Yes, Sister Vani.
Sai Ram, brother. So I'm reminded of from the Bhagavani, when I think Dhritarashtra, Vidura is forcing Dhritarashtra, kind of, encouraging him to go to Vanaprastha, giving up all the luxury life and, just walk with your own, just the clothes that you're wearing, and give up all the attachment and not having, servants and to help you out, and you just go and cook and eat and whatever, you just walk. Whatever happens after is up to, you can be killed by an animal, or, you can walk into the water and whatever. So, but it's just that not, as Brother Sai Satish said, like worldly, the bodily attachment, and not care about those kind of things, and just focus on more spiritual type of thing. That's what I'm reminded of, Dhritarashtra's kind of, he was hesitant at the beginning, but, Vidura had kind of forced him.
Yes, sisters. Thank you very much for bringing it up. Yes, Rohit.
No, Sai Ram uncle. No, I think Brother Saisan had asked this question about whether one needs to be consciously doing it, or even if someone does it passively, does one receive this thing? I think in today's day and age, and I think Swami had only said this. I'll try to find the source. It was somewhere I read in a discourse. Swami was talking about community bhajan singing, and Swami had mentioned about how even if one person in that whole group sings with full complete sync of how it's expected bhajans to be sing and pleases Swami, Swami blesses the whole group. So in that group, if there's one person who has just been bought by somebody who is an old devotee of Swami, and this person doesn't know anything and he's just there passively sitting. But if it's just so happens that Swami is very happy with bhajans that day, even this person is going to get blessed. So I think somebody has to start somewhere in terms of their spiritual journey. So I think even if somebody starts passively, obviously one has to make the progress to go into doing it consciously. But I think we must not discourage passive attendance as well, because at the end of the day, Namasparana benefits everybody. That's what I thought. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Any other thoughts, anyone? So maybe I will just summarize. So I think, so we'll go about Vanaprastha. See, Vanaprastha, I think we always say this day and age. Okay. Even in that day and age, as Sister Vani had mentioned, Dhritarashtra at the old age was staying home. Even after his children were dead, he was staying home. But Vidura had to come and tell him. So the thing is, even that day and age, there were people staying at home, except when somebody came and reminded them. I don't think the day and age matters, because Vanaprastha is a stage which has been explained by Swami in the Dharma Vahini and in many discourses. And this has been devised by the rishis. The reason the Vanaprastha is designed is so that we slowly learn detachment. We can say, oh, my mind is detached, but we should ask ourselves who we are fooling sometimes. We are attached. Raghu also could have said, oh, my son, Dilip also could have thought, I have not seen any grandchildren, I should wait. He didn't wait. So he was very serious, and he was very serious about following the Dharma. I think why I'm saying this is, I think we have to recognize that that is the right thing to do. If we are unable to do, that's the second thing. Whether Swami will bless us or not is the second thing. But I think the fact is that we should know this is a stage, as Sai Satish said, our mind, word, and deed should be all in sync. So I think it is important that Vanaprastha is an important stage in our spiritual development. I think there's we should not be debating that, or we should not even interpreting it. If we want to, practice it to the extent we can, due to our personal circumstances, I think that's our personal circumstances. But I think we all should be very clear that it is a ashrama which has been divided by the rishis, and they have laid down how it should be performed. And I think there's there should not be any confusion or doubt about it. Okay, any day and age it matters. The reality is, if you go to India, there are enough ashrams where you can go and stay. Ashramas are away from the cities. People go into Badrinath and all that, and people stay. This is a natural phenomena which happens. Not everyone goes, but there's a large number of people who go and do that. So that is the only way you stay away from your, whoever you think attached, your blood relatives, your family. They consciously do it. People who are very serious about spirituality, they do that. So in this case also, Dilipa was very serious about it. Not everyone in the city would have done it, but the King Dilipa did it. And I think we need to know that is an ideal we should try to follow. And one of the reasons when Swami set up Prashanti Nilayam as an ashram and allowed older devotees to come and stay there, it was just that reason. Because whether we like it or not, if we are in a family environment, we anyway get drawn. Our senses are drawn. There will be feasts, there will be parties, you have to attend and all that. Whereas in this case, the person is completely cut off. It's Ekantavasam. I think we have discussed Ekantavasam also in the Gita Vine. Swami has spoken about it in many places. Swami does not force anyone to do anything. But the thing is, we should not have any confusion as to this is a real requirement in the spiritual progress. If we don't do it in this life, maybe some lifetimes. Maybe in Canada, it's not possible for us to do. As Sister Vani said, only seniors home. But if you go to seniors home, most of the time they spend 24/7 watching TV or in some gossip or something like that. I don't think it's a sadhana. See, here they are talking about, can we do Shravana, Manana, Nidhityasana? I think that's the most important thing. There are many discourses. So I think we should all we can do whatever we want. And in terms of hands in the society, head in the forest, it is not for Vanaprastha, it is for the Grihastha ashrama, as per my understanding. That is, even when you are a Grihastha, your mind should not dwell on the world. It should dwell on the Atma. I think that's what the Swami says, head in the forest, where your mind does not get distracted by the worldly events. And I think that's where it helps. Then I will also address Mr. Bhagia sir's thing. See, the irony is he was living in the ashram. He was doing what Swami had asked him to do, which is like any sage Vasishta. He was in an ashram. He was teaching whoever came. But the problem he had was thinking this is a worldly activity. And I think that's what Swami tried to correct, because he didn't really understand what is that detachment. That is why Swami wanted to correct him and say, even as a Vasishta, when he was teaching, he will teach. He is already in the ashram. He is already detached. So I think that's what, in my view, was. But he may have interpreted it differently, and he may be giving talks with slightly different. But what I was able to read, and it was, as I said, it's an individual instruction. See, if Swami has written Dharma Vahini, and he will not counter it. If he has given discourses on Vanaprastha, he will not counter it. But Swami always says, I have told you what is good. There's no force. Everything is source. Do what is needed. And I think that we should be very clear. If we cannot strive to that state, I think it's okay. And we can say, Swami, this is all I can do at this point in time, please help. But I think what's more important is we should cut out engagement with the world, even if we stay in the city. We should be completely 24/7 thinking only of God and listening to only sattvic things. Because going and attending functions, activities and all is tamasic or rajasic. So I think we should stay away from that action. I think that's the expectation. That's the ideal. If you're unable to do, I guess it's okay. Swami will not force anyone to do anything. The ashrams are open. I think there's an option for us to go to another country where there are ashrams and stay there. Many people do, many Westerners do. They take sannyasa also. So I think these options are available in this day and age. So I think we should not forget that. That's all I would say. But let us all do what we can. But this is the ideal which Swami has set up. And I thought that's my understanding. I hope I have not. Then if anyone else would like to share any thoughts, please do so.
Sai Ram, brother, can we say Gautama Buddha's life's example associated to this Vanaprastha? Like, is it okay leaving behind wife and kid and going into Vanaprastha?
Yes, very good, sister. Very good question, because Swami has addressed that as well. When Gautama Buddha went, he felt if he find the solution for the problems of the world, life, he felt not only he will benefit, everyone will benefit. Only with that intention he left his wife and son, and without telling them also. And there's a question when he came back as a monk, his wife is supposed to have asked him the question, couldn't you have attained the same state at home living with us? And the Buddha's answer was just a smile. But the thing is, what he did not only helped him, but generations, for thousands of years, it still helps. That's the work which he did as work for the entire world. And I think that's the advantage. That very good question, sister. That Swami has spoken about it in a few places about that. Yes, Sister Aruna.
Sai Ram, brother. So it's a good discussion, but the problem is like Gautama Buddha, how he went. So where you draw the line for the duty? You know, now detachment we are talking about. At the same time, we have certain role to play too. So where the detachment, it's only way. I'm thinking to myself now even where to do how. And I know we children are grown up, then there are other things to take care of. The continuously something will come up, right? So I'm thinking to myself, Gautama Buddha did it. Is that the way everyone can follow that? I don't think that is right to leave. I don't. I'm just thinking where that is comes. Where's the detachment? Where you will.
Anyone? Yes, good question, sister. Anyone would like to answer this question? Yes, Brother Narendra Reddy, please answer. You have to unmute and answer, brother. Yes, please.
Sai Ram, brothers and sisters, I'm really finding the discussion so interesting. And, these things were spoken and written, the events happened hundreds of years ago. Of course, the Ramakatha Rasavahini is of Swami's time. And things in different era are normal at that time. Going to the forest in the 21st century is it's a little bit of a difficult thing. But the whole idea, to my thinking, is how it affects our philosophy and thinking. How it affects our, as Sister mentioned, as earlier on, and Brother, you also mentioned, is that we can still live in our homes or in an ashram, in an urban area, and still practice the thinking. The whole idea is to get away from material things. I'm sure most of us, most people in the world have a house and, so many things, but we don't need all those things. How we can, live with the minimal amount of things. So the whole idea is changing our philosophy that we can, the whole idea of hands in society and in your mind in the forest, you can apply it by living within the society. Or even if you go away and even live in the forest, you can still do hands in society and live in the forest. So my thinking, my assessment of all this reading and my knowledge about all this spirituality is that how I can become a better person, how I can be helpful to others, how I can use fewer amount of resources and think widely for the wider good. So I'm just my philosophy is following on from all this discussion and reading is how I can become a better person for the rest of the world. Uh, I might not be able, my impact is not on the entire world, but if I can be a nice person in the village where I stay or in the community where I stay, and if and surely I'm not the only one thinking like that. There are many others thinking like that. So together we can have an impact. So that key point about going to the forest and what is practical in this day and age. I think if you can go to the forest, to the real forest, and if you want to make a living there in your retirement or when you think it is our sunset years, or we could still live in an urban area and still change your philosophy to meet those things. Yeah. Om Sri Sai Ram. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you. Yes, Sai Satish, please go ahead.
Hi, Ramana. So, based on what Sister Aruna was saying, so Swami tells the story. There's this great person who's reading one of these holy texts, and he's giving discourses every day. And he sees that irrespective of whether people turn up or not, there is one old lady who comes and sits in the front. And she will, every time he opens this book and starts reading, she will start crying. And this person sees this, and he sees this happening day after day, and then he is very, very impressed with this lady because he sees she is just, as he starts reading the book, she starts crying. So one day he goes up to her and he says, Amma, I see that you're lost completely in devotion. Whenever I read this book, you start crying. And then you have a lot of great devotion and then she says, no, actually what happens, every time when you open that book, I see that there is one thread, one rope kind thing which is used to tie all those pages. And that reminds me of what my husband would have around his waist, that rope. And that is why every time I see that, I get reminded of my husband and I start crying. And so that clearly tells for what we cry for in the world. Because if we have that intense dispassion, then when Pandavas heard that Lord Krishna is not there, they go on Mahaprasthana. They don't think that we fought Mahabharata, where 18 Akshavahinis were destroyed, and we got this kingdom after all this. So we have to be there and we have to take care of this kingdom because we rightfully inherited. The moment they heard Krishna is no longer there, they just dropped and went on Mahaprasthana. If that kind of renunciation mindset we have, then we are fine, sister. Or else usually our thing is, I will tell I have immediate, but it's all like our smashana vairagyam, no? The instant feeling that I should renounce. When I hear the Vahini, when I read this, I feel I should drop everything. What is this? But then I know immediately after this Vahini study circle, I will run back and then say, oh, I have to take care of this thing. I have to do this and that. So when Buddha made his decision, he was so razor sharp that I am going for so there are two, that is that Atma Dharma and Paradharma, right? When the Atma Dharma is a conflagration and so very clear, then Paradharma can just be put aside because Atma Dharma is so very 100% in priority. But if my priority, I keep it as 1% Atma Dharma and every time come back to my Paradharma and keep saying, oh, no, I have to, then we know where it goes, right? So how intense is that pining for that renunciation will really decide whether I drop everything today and walk, or I will keep telling that as an excuse. But I'll pause here. Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, Sai Satish. Yes, brother Rohit.
Yes, Uncle. I think I just sort of opened up Prashnottar Vahini before I asked my question. I feel like I opened up a can of worms. But yes, Swami has. I was just reading that. I think yes, as was mentioned by just Brother Sai Satish and by you before some time, there are some strict adherences to Vanaprastha that must be observed, and only then it can be called as Vanaprastha as per Swami. Swami has even said, like, I'll just read two lines. Swami says, for those wishing to enter Vanaprastha with a family, approval from the wife is necessary, along with sufficient provision for the children. If the wife is willing, she may accompany him, and they must live as brother and sister. Maintaining this new relationship transforms life in the home into Vanaprastha. However, if the husband-wife relationship persists despite following Vanaprastha disciplines, life in the forest also does not constitute Vanaprastha. So, Vanaprastha should not reside in the homes of married people or partake in cooked food. So, even the food has to be raw, this thing. So, I think, yeah, I mean, we can practice the hybrid versions, but I think reading at this, if we have to call Vanaprastha, it has to be followed all these rules that have been stated by Swami, I think. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Rohit. Thank you very much. See, I don't think we should get worried too much. Swami is going to punish us or anything like that. But I think what Swami is saying is, if we are serious about sannyasa and liberation, moksha, it's an essential step. The reality is, when we stay in the society, the peer pressure is too much. Okay, people will come visit you, you have to talk to them. Unless they are also in the same wavelength, you will be talking about all worldly things. You may say, I'm doing Sai Ram, Sai Ram, but then it's only half. But then somebody will invite, then we have to go. So the peer pressure is a lot. See, being nice and people saying you are a nice person, you are helping us a lot, it has some value, no doubt. But the thing is, a person who is spiritually intent, who wants to work on the liberation of oneself or realizing oneself, there has to be a lot of hard work. The reason why Swami is saying this is, this day and age will remain this day and age until somebody brings about a change. Someone in the world has to bring about change. So if are we going to raise our hands and say we are going to do it? And the degree to which we are going to do it is important. And Sister Aruna asked, where do we draw the line? And Swami tells a nice story. Someone worshipped and prayed to Lord Shiva saying, give me liberation. And Shiva appeared in front of him and said, okay, come, let's go. I will give you liberation. Then he said, no, wait. My child is just 10 years now. He has to grow up and I have to make sure that he is educated. Come after that. So Shiva went. And again, he came back after 10 hours. He said, what about, are you ready to come? He said, no, he has to get married. Then I will come. He said, again left. Then he comes. So Swami says, goes and comes. The person is not ready to go at all. Why Swami is telling this story is, we need to know when it's the right time to draw the line. And I think Swami has given sufficient guidance in the Dharma Vahini and Prashnottar Vahini about that, how to do it. So the thing is, if we are unable to do it, okay, let's do to the extent possible. But we should still know that is the goal, that is the golden standard of Vanaprastha. And if we can strive to that, we can. Then I will ask the question, ideally, if every devotee wants to attain that, we can say, Swami, give me the opportunity. Give me the strength. Give me the circumstances. So I can go to the forest and practice Vanaprastha. Are we ready to even ask for that? That's the question we have to ask. How serious are we in the spirituality? And I think that's very, very important, because if you're unable to do it, let us not say, oh, you are unable to do, I am unable to do it. All of us circumstances are different. All of us are also in our growth process, but we should know this is the right thing to do. If we are unable to do, we are unable to do what to do. But we should not think, let us dilute the process. I think we should not do. If that was so, Swami wouldn't have written Prashnottar Vahini, Swami wouldn't have written Dharma Vahini, Swami wouldn't have given many discourses on Vanaprastha. It is applicable to this day and age for whoever is willing to take up that hard work. I think that's all it is. when we know our renunciation and going away is going to is much more useful for the world, home will not stop us. That's the thought, and I will stop it at that. I hope it's a very high bar Swami has set. It's a bar, no doubt. If we let us strive to the extent possible. Otherwise, Swami wouldn't waste his time and his words on things which are not relevant to us. So I will stop there. I think Sajan put up his hand. He put it down. No problem. And I think we will cover, there are 3 questions from Ron about the meaning of Dilipa, Raghu, and Sudakshana. Anyone who would like to share your thoughts? Okay, so I will just go. Yes, Sai Ram, please go ahead.
The name Raghu comes from the Raghu Vamsha, the clan to which they belong. I think that was the purpose behind naming that child as Raghu. I hope that one accident. Sudakshana means, Daksha means efficiency. The word Daksha means the one who is efficient. So she was quite efficient lady. That's why she was Sudakshina. I know. And Dilipa, I'm not very sure about that.
Thank you very much, Auntie.
Sai Ram.
Thank you. So, yes, so Raghu Vamsa, Raghu is another name for sun. Raghu is light. That which, is full of rajas. In some ways, you can see it's shining forth, emitting light. So Raghu was a name which was present even before Raghu was born. It was the name for the sun, who is like fire and effulgent. So Raghu was considered someone who was shining like the sun. So that's the name of Raghu. Dilipa is one who protects people who don't have anyone to take care. Dilip means people who are suffering, who are afflicted. Dilipa is one who protects, that is Dilipa. And Sudakshana, as Auntie has said, one who is very clever, but the best meaning is who is well-mannered, who is courteous, all the best qualities of a woman is also Dakshina, who is good at all these good qualities and be able to practice them in such manner. And Sudakshina is in an auspicious way. So Sumangala or something like that also you can say. Sudakshina. Dakshina is the best which anyone can offer. Because there is a word called Daksha. If in Bhagavad Gita, these are some of the qualities of a great devotee. So there also, it basically, Swami is saying, if you are a Daksha, even your daughter will be able to marry Shiva. That's why Swami is talking about Daksha.
Daksha Prajapati.
Yeah, Daksha Prajapati was given because Swami said, if you were that good, but then he fell, that's a different story. But Swami says he all was promoted because he was able to give birth to Sati who could marry Shiva. So Daksha is someone who is well refined, very capable. Thank you. So I think that's, I don't know, Ron, you're happy with the extent to which we discussed?
Indeed. Thank you very much for that explanation. And it's gives some room to reflect on how the combination of what you explained, Dilipa and Sudakshana combined to create Raghu, the radiance of Raghu.
See, Sudakshana also means someone who has the best right hand. Okay, so I will just leave it.
Dakshina Vamabhagam.
Yes. Daksha is your right hand. So you're very good with your hands. That capable. You can be the best right hand for somebody. So that's what's another meaning. Okay, let's all ponder manana on the Prastha and come back next week. It's 10:09. And let's hope Swami will guide us and find when to draw the line, Sister Aruna. And we will see. Okay, Sai Ram, everyone. We'll close the session with Samasta Loka prayer, please.